America's Cup 33 has been decided on the water. February 14, 2010, Valencia, Spain. The America's Cup is America's again. BMW Oracle with their trimaran USA, an amazing wind sail, skippered by James Spithill, wins race 2 to make it USA 2, a Lingy 0. Now the America's Cup returns to the United States, this time to the Golden Gate Yacht Club, San Francisco.
So mate, did you think you'd pull it off again for the, what is it, 5th time or 6th time?
5th time. I thought we'd have a shot at it, yeah. Didn't know, that's for sure. I knew it was going to be the toughest one.
Yeah.
But we thought we'd have a shot at it, yeah.
Well, what did you think when you first saw the boat? What did you think were its strong points?
Well, I mean, the boat changed so much, you know. Along the way, you guys started out pretty early, and in the end, I think the configuration was a little bit frightening for us. At first, we were reasonably comfortable. The big thing was we never knew the weight until towards the end. We figured you're quite heavy, so we thought it was always going to be tough in the breeze for us, and in the light we're probably okay.
And what about the wing? When you saw that, you probably heard rumours that we were going to do it. Did you have any idea we were building it, or?
Yeah, it was pretty quiet actually. Did a pretty good job there keeping it quiet, unfortunately. Yeah, we heard some whispers and we looked at it briefly, but that was a bit scary when we heard that you guys are doing a wing. At the time, I remember thinking it's a big, really ambitious though. Like the time frame to design, build it, learn to sail it, iron out the bugs, and so for me, I thought it was 50-50 whether you're going to pull it off. Yeah, so when you first saw the Lingy 5 boat, what did you think of it, first impressions?
I thought it was the coolest boat I'd seen. You know, it just looked so, you know, maybe a downside of our boat was it looked quite conventional, and that's why we changed it quite a lot, where your one, straight out of the box, it looked like a racing machine. You know, the structural engineering, the way the rods went all through, and the way the hulls were, it was, you know, I knew we had a bit on.
Yeah, we were pretty confident in the structures of our boat, in the you know, the amount of design work that had gone in there. But at the end of the day, it's sort of with the multi-hull sailing, it's all about picking your wind strength you're going to sail in, and that was the bit that was a bit scary, is were we in the same space as you guys or not?
Yeah, we always thought, we knew when we saw the boat it was going to be a light air machine, and we were really, really worried right up until the first race about downwind. You know, we thought that you'd be probably quite a bit deeper and quite a bit faster. So it was, yeah, it was a hard one because we were guessing your weight, your riding moment, but you know, it obviously looked like a light air machine with a lot of nice details.
Yeah, well, that was our concept when we designed the boat, really, was to do something light air orientated, and something that would hopefully fly before you guys.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I think we both went through the same thing, where at the start you end up probably further up the wind range than you expect, and that we both sort of kept throwing more and more mast height and sail area and eventually a wing, you know, just to try and power the boats up.
I think, looking in hindsight back on it, that was a common theme between both teams. In our earlier days, you know, we were concerned about the pitch pole. Obviously, it wouldn't be a pleasant thing if you ever did pitch pole one of these things. And I think as a result, both boats were, I don't know whether it's the scale of the magnitude of these boats, but we're reasonably conservative in that regard. But as you said, you just kept throwing more mast height and sail area at them, the better they went.
Yeah, I remember sitting in a design meeting early on with the French guys, and we were talking mast height, and the first mast, I think we ended up sort of high 40s. and someone just threw out the number 60 metres, and everyone in the room just started laughing like it was the most absurd thing you would ever build a mast that high, and then sure enough we end up near 70 metres. So I think it was a pretty good experience for all of those guys with it, that had done it before as well.
Did you ever think that the wing wasn't going to make it in time?
Yeah, I did, because we were constantly, like I said, I think our belt came out quite, initially we had it was 10 months, we had to be ready, so part of the challenge was just getting it out there on the water, and Frank and VPLP had a lot of experience in the trimarans. But obviously it wasn't, we needed to change the floats, and it was a constant development thing, so it took the boat building the time to do it. I honestly really was wondering about the wing, whether we'd get it done. But when we broke mast 3, it was really, it really helped us focus on the wing, because that was what we had to race with.
Yeah, looking back on it, that was probably the best thing that happened to you, and the worst thing that happened to us, you breaking that mast, because it was obvious you just changed tack and put all the resource into getting the wing sorted out. Whereas if you hadn't done that, you probably would have tried to cover your bases on both areas, and the wing may not have made it, because to tell you the truth, going into the first race, we thought, we were reasonably reliable, and we'd done a reasonable amount of race practice. And it appeared to us from the little time we'd spent watching you guys that you'd really done no race practice, and 50% of the days you went out, you came back with a breakdown. So we thought that there's a good chance you probably wouldn't even make it.
Yeah, well that's right. If we had we not have broken mast 3, we probably would have spent a lot of time and energy on which one to choose. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise that we just said, okay, this is it, and on we go. But still, to get it there for race time, as you said, we spent probably half our time breaking things or sorting issues out. So we certainly came into it pretty underprepared from a race point of view, that's for sure.
So you guys were pretty keen on having Valencia in the beginning of February. What were you thinking when you left the dock at 5 in the morning?
Yeah, I got to the point where I would have worn more gear, but I couldn't move from side to side, so it was freezing, wasn't it?
It's a different preparation to your normal race. Leaving hours and hours before your race and in the dark, freezing cold. But then you're trying to focus on what's going to happen. What were you thinking about what's going to happen in that race?
We just wanted to see some wind. But we sort of, I'd spoke to Philippe and Russell and a couple other guys about trying to make something happen in the start, because I was worried about, you guys downwind. Ended up making a couple of things happen, but certainly a couple of them I hadn't planned on.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I mean, for us and for you guys, you'd never sail against another boat, and so you just didn't know what to expect. We did a little bit of manoeuvring practice and some days, but and so we knew a little bit about how to manoeuvre the boat a little bit, but not relative to another boat. And I remember we did the dial-up and we're sitting there quite close together, and you sort of think, wow, I wonder what's going to happen next. And I don't know how comfortable you were sitting above us there.
Yeah, we were. It was funny, it sort of felt like we got control, it was great, we got the penalty, and then all of a sudden it went, what would happen next, and before you knew it, went from the front foot to the back foot in the blink of an eye. But I was still pretty impressed that you guys got out of there and, took off, because initially it looked like you're in a spot of bother there,
Yeah.
I thought you did pretty well to, get out of there, and ultimately we, get us stuck in irons.
So what did you think about that pre-start? How did you see it? Did you have a plan coming into it, or?
Mate, I quite enjoyed the first half of it. Really enjoyed it, actually.
I was a little bit the opposite. I enjoyed the second half. I didn't really enjoy the first little bit.
Yeah, I thought you might have. But, the way the line was meant to be set was to allow you guys to cross. And I always said to Cheese in that if we could really wick the boat up and come in at full pace at entry, we may have a chance of stopping you crossing, which could be pretty powerful. And I think also the way the wind had sort of shifted just before, it sort of squared the line up. so it was quite difficult for you to cross. And then, so I told the boys, let's have a go at it and see what would happen. So that was good. Like I said, the first part was great. Went as per script.
I think the whole, during that pre-start, right from basically when we entered till probably 5 minutes or 10 minutes after that start, the breeze was actually in a changing period, and the breeze shifted quite a big left, 20 degrees or something in that, right when we started entering, and we were surprised that you guys were so far down on and more pressure than us, and we thought, wow, all of a sudden it's all on here for the cross, where we expected that we'd just cross, you know, and deal with the rest of the pre-start.
Yeah, maybe that would have been better in hindsight.
So what did you think after you won the thing? Next day or two, you're thinking, well, what happens now? What were you thinking the next cup was going to be?
Well, it was interesting. What triggered the thought was, I remember Ernesto at the press conference saying that he'd even been asked that question, and there were some teams training in the Version 5 boats. One of the days we were going out to the start.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember all of us just sort of, we were sailing because we had the wing obviously, and the chase boat couldn't keep up for the tow. And I remember we sort of all looked over there and just, it hardly looked like they were moving. You know, it looked like the most boring thing you'd ever seen. And we just sort of asked the question, said, do we really want to go back to that? Is that really the right move? And I wonder what those guys are thinking as they're watching both of us go out there. Because it was a real eye-opener, wasn't it?
It was. I think people that weren't involved in the project and sailing on the boats didn't really appreciate how much fun and how much of a challenge it was being on the boat. You know, everyone was just buzzing. I think people from the outside couldn't really quite appreciate that.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky, weren't we? Because when you, I don't know about you, but after it had finished, geez, I almost went into a state of depression. You know, you go from that sort of sailing and those highs that you just look forward to it every night, and then to stop and know you're not going to sail that sort of boat again, it was...
Exactly, I think it was the same for me, that every day you just get up in the morning and looking forward to going out sailing, and you couldn't say the same about that in the old Version 5 boats. You sort of think, no, I've got to go out and do the same thing again. Whereas this...
Yeah, I remember Tugsy or whoever was on the shore would always be complaining we were coming in too late. You know, it'd be dark when we get back because they wanted to do some work on the boat, but it was just so much fun. You had to be almost forced back to the dock.
So here we are. Here we are in Auckland with the 45s. We've sailed them for a couple of weeks. We think we've done the right thing?
I think no question now, eh? You know, it was funny when we were drawing up that 45 concept and seeing it on paper, and you didn't really know, but now, I mean, how good is it? It's just... And your son, like, he's been out there sailing around in the 420s, so what's he been sailing it, you know, saying about it?
Yeah, I mean, they just look over and think, yeah, that looks cool, and that's me in the future.
Yeah, I think that's the best part, because in the past, you know, a kid I don't think would just look at those Version 5 boats and think, oh, that looks really exciting, where now, man, I mean, if a kid had to choose between that and the monohull, it's just a no-brainer, isn't it?
It is, and also, you know, the thing I've noticed about the visibility we've had here, that you get people off the street just looking at the boat and just thinking, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so I think most people now have accepted, you know, the change and probably see it as a positive, and that it is the way forward.
You know, I think that I was thinking about it, if people will be looking back at old videos of these Version 5 races and watching two parked 25-tonne boats there at the beginning of a pre-start, sitting there for a minute and a half, basically in irons doing nothing. And then once I watch some of these races that we're going to have in the next 2 years in these multi-hulls, they're going to think, well, you know, I'm not missing that aspect of those big heavy slugs. This is cool, these boats flying around one hull and missing each other by metres, doing 30, 40 knots. It's a new world.